Okay. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Or if you're catching this on the replay, good day. I hope you're doing well. My name is Michelle. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to introduce our rock star presenter, Loa. Welcome to Cando's Links to Learning. It is gonna be a good presentation today. First and foremost, I think it's really important to take a moment to press pause, acknowledge creators' beauty. You know, here in Edmonton, Treaty 6 territory, the weather cannot make up its mind. It's been rain, it's been cloud, it's been hot, but no matter what the weather is, you know, this moment, this day is a gift, and that is beautiful. So we do give thanks to Creator for this gift of another moment, that we are here, that we have breath in our lungs. We are surrounded by community. We have this beautiful gift of creation and land. So no matter what you're going through, no matter the storms that of life that bring us, there's always something to be thankful for. So we just give thanks to Creator for the gift of another day and another moment, another opportunity to learn and just to virtually be with community. So hi, Creator, and we're so honored that you have all come to join us for today's presentation. So this is part one of part two. So part one is business development and personal branding. So really good content. In today's accelerated digital environment, it's important to build a personal brand online to attract new business opportunities for your company. By increasing your professional presence on the internet, you can expand your network, gain valuable industry information, and build relationships that result in growth for your organization. So in today's webinar, our guest speaker, Loa from Activ8, will lead us through the steps to enhance our own personal brand to make attracting new opportunities online a piece of your business development toolbox. So as I said, this is part one of part two. So make sure that you catch part two. And so little bit about our guest speaker. As I said, she is a rock star presenter. I know the last time I sat in her workshop, I had some takeaways, such as polishing up my LinkedIn profile. So I believe we'll walk away with some takeaways and some action items. She has 20 plus years of entrepreneurial marketing, technology, and sales expertise through her marketing agency, Activ8, consulting for consulting for emerging private and public companies, Indigenous and not-for-profit organizations here in Canada. She also works with progressive Indigenous communities in BC, passing along marketing, digital media, and sales knowledge to Indigenous entrepreneurs who want to start and grow companies that they are passionate about. So she created a 15-course business training program that gives Indigenous adults and youth the professional and personal development tools and skills needed to succeed in today's digital economy. So I really believe we are in good hands this afternoon. So get your pen and paper, or just open up your mind, heart, and take in the knowledge that this expertise is going to bring to us this afternoon. So welcome, Lo. We are so glad you are here.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. I really appreciate it, and it's so nice to be here with you and with Cando members today. So thank you, everybody. Before we start, I would like to first acknowledge that I am deeply honored to be able to work and play on the unceded traditional territories of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh Nation people. So with that, I will now, we'll dive into the meat and the heart of what we're all here to talk about today. And I'm just going to share my screen so that we can start on the slides. So today we're going to discuss personal branding and business development. As Michelle alluded to, it's really important today that we are all really proficient with how to build an online brand, because let's face it, especially through these last couple years of social distancing, everything has moved online. Before, when a lot of us were dipping our toe in the water and maybe just doing a little bit of social here and there, perhaps buying one or two things online, but now the digital economy has, in Canada especially, has literally exploded. So it's important for us as business professionals to ensure that we are doing a really good job with our own personal brands. And I'll explain what that is in a moment, as well as reaching out online to build opportunities on behalf of our nation or our businesses, and also on behalf of ourselves as professionals. As we all probably can relate to, the more people, great people, like-minded people you have in your network, the greater the opportunities that come your way. So let's get into it with some of the information that we have here to share. So as Michelle alluded to, I've been doing training for Indigenous entrepreneurs and working with various nations for the last 20 years, as well as working as a consultant, helping companies, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous, to market their brands and just be really proficient at reaching out. And I just love this work. I'm so honored to be able to do it. So normally I would get everybody to introduce themselves, but in the sake of time today, we're just going to breeze through the information and give you some tips and knowledge that you can take away and hopefully start to use immediately. So I'd like everybody to just know that this is going to be a conversation versus a lecture. It's really important to me that we do participate and really take notes and really absorb the information, because that is how you're going to be able to learn the best, is by really utilizing the knowledge that you're gaining here. And everybody has experiences, so we can learn from each other. And please do put your LinkedIn address in the chat so that we can expand all of our networks today. Okay, so what is branding? So what you're going to learn is branding is so important, and it is everything today when it comes to business. We're going to discuss the current environment and what that looks like, how a personal brand differs from a corporate brand. We'll look at why is it important? Why do we need to actually put some effort into this area? We'll also talk about how you can go about building your own personal brand, attracting like-minded people, and what type of content can you put together in order to share it. You know, a lot of people, definitely of my generation, are super comfortable sharing some personal stuff through Facebook or whatever, but they're not super comfortable in understanding what kind of information they can share from a business perspective. And now the lines have blurred between business, what's okay to share personally versus professionally. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So here's an interesting statistic that I don't know how many of you may have read or heard of before, but did you know from the time we wake up until the time we go to bed, we see on average between 4,000 and 10,000 brand messages a day? That is a lot of advertising that our brains need to filter. So how do you, as a professional, get through the clutter, cut through the clutter, and are able to attract the people that mean the most to your business? Well, we're going to discuss that in just a moment. But just remember that our brains filter only what is necessary and what generally is in front of us that we have to take action on in the moment. So it's important to remember that. Okay, so those of us who are born in a certain vintage will remember that the dial-up, the struggle was real. Holy Nelly, kids today do not even have the faintest idea of what we had to go through. So that was yesterday's, connection to the internet, and here's today's. This is now what our environment looks like. Technology has literally taken over, and we're not turning back anytime soon. We have electric vehicles that are now going to be kind of a hybrid. This is actually a company that's created a hybrid between a car and a motorcycle that's fully electric in the middle there. Company's going public. There are, augmented reality and virtual reality applications that are already in the works in industry. You can 3D print a little mini yoga or Yoda now if you want to. The hologram watch is not yet commercially available, but I know that just being able to communicate via hologram is in our soon not so distant future. So get ready for that. Never mind Zoom. We're going to be able to hologram ourselves into each other's room soon. So you better have your pants on. And then you've got the smart homes, right? Who here has Alexa or Google Assistant? I know I do, and so do most of the people that I know. And this is a voice activated assistant. Growth is exponential. So this is just going to continue as well. And this is another area of being aware and technically savvy enough to understand how to utilize Google Assist or any of the assistants that will help you to, whether it's do your job better, faster, more efficiently. It's the growth in technology is enormous. And this definitely relates to how we operate from a business capacity. So in looking at the digital economy from the national perspective, Canadians are very digitally savvy. So we are currently at about 28 million of us shop online. That's about 3/4 of Canadians. So we're pretty comfortable doing that now. The GDP of the digital economy was 109 in 2017, and it's since exploded to 118 billion just over the last couple of years, which is huge growth. We've got 85% of us as Canadians are very active in social media. And as most of us can probably attest to, 50% of us, at least probably even higher in the world of business, are working from home. And although things are opening up and a lot of businesses will be bringing people back, it's not going to be on a full-time basis likely. There's going to be a hybrid model where companies that would like their employees to come and touch base in the office. It's going to be rotating hours versus being a full-time situation in the office. So things are changing, and this means the digital economy is really here to stay, and how we operate digitally is a part of our lives, a very big part of our work lives. So technology and the internet have fundamentally changed the way that we produce, distribute, and consume goods and services. And the pandemic has just accelerated that. So if we look at the Indigenous economy and where this is taking us, I don't know if you all know this number, but 32 billion is what the the Indigenous economy was tracked at as of 2016. It is expected to explode to 100 billion within the next couple of years by 2024. How many of you are familiar with the hashtag Indigenomics? That is, yes, Michelle, excellent. That is a movement that is rapidly picking up at the national conversation level. And it's headed up by an incredible woman by the name of Ann Hilton, who's recently written a bestseller book called Indigenomics. And it's all around the Indigenous economy and the empowerment of Indigenous people taking their seat at the economic table. So the growth is significant, and this creates a lot of opportunities for nations right across the country. There is a lot of, as well, government funding being funneled into procurement and into major partnerships. And it's just a really exciting place to be right now, is working within the Indigenous industries. Now, Indigenous people are very entrepreneurial. So they're starting and running businesses 9 times faster than the rate of non-Indigenous Canadians. Also, Indigenous and industry are innovating new models of commercial partnerships that include both equity and procurement. And the investment ownership portion in power projects provides 1/5 of Canada's electricity generation across the nation. For example, the Tahltan Nation is one of the largest clean energy investments by a First Nation in Canadian history. And they purchased 5% of 3 of BC's hydroelectric facilities. So you can definitely tell that things are moving and shaking in the Indigenous economy, and how this is tying into the digital economy is going to be also offer a lot of room for growth and opportunity for those who know how to access it. So here's our new normal, right? The majority of us, especially in business, are working from home. And as I said, there's likely to be a hybrid model once we go back to things open up and there's less social distancing and more people are able to visit their offices and see their colleagues and their bosses again. But what this means is we've got to adapt. We need to really learn how to become super proficient in the use of technology and how we navigate digitally. So there was a really good quote by Kevin Carmichael, who's a Financial Post columnist, that I read recently. The way we choose to confront the tech revolution will set the parameters for the kind of economy we have for decades to come. So for those of us who are born, in the 80s, the boomers or the Gen Xers and the boomers, we have seen a lot of growth in technology in our generation. And then our kids and the Gen Zs have been born with basically smartphones in their hands. And the rapid pace of technology is going to just keep going. So how we learn and adapt to it is how we are going to be able to access all these opportunities and also be able to drive business growth going forward. So when we look at a personal brand and what some of the benefits are, we can attest to the fact that it gives a steady stream of opportunity. The more people you know, it makes sense. The more people that are like-minded, the more people that want to help you in business and want to open doors for you. So by having a larger network, this gives you a lot more access to opportunity. It also enables you to have rewarding partnerships, people who can become, really close confidants, and people who can just complement you in your business relationship and be able to strengthen the opportunity that you have to attract new business. And then you could also look at accessing more leadership roles. You show that you have an expertise in a certain area. You also, by strengthening your personal brand, you build credibility and you become a trusted advisor for people. When people see that you have expertise in a certain area, it's you who they're going to go to if an opportunity presents itself, or if they need some knowledge or they need some professional advice. And that is definitely a plus if you are that person. It also allows for prestige and recognition. The more you can put yourself out there and showcase what you're good at, what you're knowledgeable in, and where you have your expertise, the greater the recognition is that you will receive for your contributions to your organization or to your industry. And then you'll also, obviously, at the end of the day, all of this leads to higher earning potential. The more in demand you are for your expertise, the greater the amount of opportunity and pay comes your way. So I was going to do a poll, but in the sake of time, I will just leave that one alone. And let's just move right on to, what is a brand? Well, the brand is the essence of a person, a product, or a company. It's an image in the minds of whomever is thinking about that subject. So what image is it that you project? What do you represent in your marketplace? So what comes to mind when you think of Tim Hortons? Michelle, do you want to take a stab at this?
Coffee.
Okay, coffee. Yeah. What about Tim Hortons when you hear the name?
Oh, well, I know it. Like, it's well known.
Right. So you're familiar with it as a brand.
Yeah.
And what kind of feelings does it conjure up when you think about Tim Hortons versus like Artesianos, for example?
I feel like it's like comforting. Like whenever I go to Tim Hortons, I know exactly what I'm getting. It's comforting.
Absolutely, 100%. So Tim Hortons has really done a great job at building a national name for themselves as a community-oriented Canadian first business that really is about family and really is about community and bringing people together. You know, Tim Hortons kind of has that feeling, like Michelle, you said, that feeling of comfort. And you go in there, it's a lifestyle. You know that the other people that are in there are like you. You know that when you go in there, you're going to have a consistently good cup of coffee or donut or whatever treat you're going in for. And it's a community. They really have built a community vibe, and it's very much around being Canadian. Most of their marketing that they put out there really invokes a feeling of we're all here together, we're all Canadians, and we're all moving in the same direction, and we're all building our community, our global or our national community. So that's, you know, a brand really invokes an emotion, and it makes you think a certain way about a particular product, service, or company or person. Okay, so that's just to sort of give you an idea of how to, when you think of a brand, think of Tim Hortons and what kind of feelings that invokes. Okay, and here's an interesting video that we'll talk about after we play it here. Hopefully it plays. It's not playing. Okay, forget the video. So branding is what people say about you when you are not in the room. This is a quote by Jeff Bezos, who's the founder and CEO of Amazon. This is so true. It comes back to, again, the image that is invoked about you or about your company when you're not in the room. Okay, and a personal brand, and when you build a brand, what you're essentially building is trust. Like Michelle pointed out earlier with Tim Hortons, that is a trusted Canadian brand. People know what they're going to get when they walk in and order a coffee from Tim Hortons, or when they walk in and have an experience of being in the coffee shop, right? It's a feeling of you're familiar with the promise and the experience of what you're going to get from that particular company, or in the case of a personal brand, that person. And that's why it's really important to be putting out great information that showcases your values and showcases your expertise, because not only does it build awareness around what you're good at or what your company's good at, but it also creates a sense of people become more familiar with you, and that creates trust. Okay, so your personal brand. So that is different than a business corporate brand, for example. Michelle, can you tell me what you feel the difference is based on what we talked about so far?
I think like a personal brand would be like, but also it would translates into professional too. But I was going to say, you know, something that you're passionate about, but also personal branding probably could be like, oh, I like cats, like cats are my thing. Whereas professional branding might be, again, what you said, what you're an expertise in, like what you know to be true.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Michelle. So when so a personal brand is all about, you know, who are you as a person? What kind of information are you an expert in? What kind of content do you put out there in social media, or do you put out through video? How can you add value to the lives of the people that you serve? Okay, so a personal brand, although it says personal brand, it actually is it's more, it would be better if I'd like to, maybe I should rename it in the land of marketing, but a personal brand would be better as named as a individual professional brand, because that's what a personal brand is. It's an individual's professional brand. Okay, and that differs from a corporate brand, because a personal or professional individual brand or personal brand is an individual. A corporate brand is a company. Okay, so that's the difference. But both are brands. An individual is a brand for who that person, what they stand for. and what they are good at and what their expertise is in and what their values are. And a corporate brand is like the Tim Hortons that is encompasses a whole bunch of people behind a product or service and company that delivers a product or service or an experience to its customers. Okay. And so when we're talking about the creation of your own individual, personal, professional brand, one of the best ways to figure out how to position yourself is to start to look online and see, first of all, you want to Google yourself and see what comes up about you. And then you can also do a Google search on other people, we'll talk about competition in a minute, who are in similar positions of you, as you, and see what comes up on them. Now, generally, when you Google yourself, or you Google the topic of that you're an expertise in, you're going to see other people that will pop up. And generally, the first thing that comes up is LinkedIn for a personal brand. So that's why it's really important to have an excellent LinkedIn fully developed profile, because that is the first thing that pops up on you or pops up on other people who happen to be experts in that area. Okay, and there's 17 million Canadians, so 4 out of 5 are decision makers that are on LinkedIn. And the first Google search that comes up on you is going to be on LinkedIn. So it's really important that you have that profile, and that's your first point of contact for your personal brand. Okay, so here's an example of somebody who is just an incredible business leader. Ann Hilton, as I mentioned before, she has not only built a really fantastic individual, so personal brand, as a professional leader in the Indigenous business and economic space, but she's also built a movement around Indigenomics. So her personal brand, Ann Hilton, and she's also written a book, and that's now a bestseller on Indigenomics, and is the creator of the movement #Indigenomics. And she also has created this corporate brand around the Indigenomics Institute. Okay, so that's how you can kind of bridge your own personal brand and your company brand. So if you go and you look up Ann on Google, you'll see a whole bunch of examples. I mean, she's also a very inspiring speaker and writer, and not everybody is has the aspirations to be out there doing keynotes on a daily basis like Ann does, but you can still get some ideas on how she positions herself and how strong she is at marketing and branding her own personal brand as well as her company's brand by having a look and seeing at all the things that she's doing. Okay, so this is the Indigenomics Institute is taking a seat at the economic table, the virtual forum that is happening on next week, I believe it is, on the 22nd and 23rd. So I hope everybody has signed up that's watching this webinar and is going to be joining the Indigenomics taking a seat at the economic table, because it is going to be an explosive, exciting virtual forum with leaders from across the country, both Indigenous and corporate Canada. So make sure that you are there. And this is a movement that Ann has created single-handedly. Of course, she's had support, but she is just an ace at being able to engage people and captivating an audience so that everybody is on board and is moving in the same direction towards Indigenous empowerment and economic growth. So it's really exciting to see what she's done. So she, as I mentioned, she does a lot of speaking engagements, which definitely helps in enhancing your own personal professional brand. So if you have the opportunity and you like to speak publicly, I would definitely recommend that you take any opportunity to do so. Same with doing webinars like these. If you have, and I'm sure everybody watching this does, expertise in a certain area, you can start doing your own webinars, or offering to do webinars for associations like Cando, or like AFOA of BC, or AFOA National. This is the way that you can really get your message out and have people get to know you and understand your area of expertise, so that you can become a trusted advisor in your space, in the industry that you work in. And if you would like to go and take a look at a really strong First Nation brand, look at the Tsleil-Waututh Nation here in Vancouver, well, North Vancouver, actually. They're an economic powerhouse for being such a small nation. I think they only have about 600 members, but they have just done insanely incredible things from a business perspective, and their growth is exponential. They're in real estate development, partnering with large real estate developers in across Metro Vancouver. They have a successful tourism company where they're covered in national and international magazines. They're on Tourism BC commercials quite often. They've got a solar project, which is mind-blowing, that saves them about $30,000 a year in electricity costs. They're very forward thinking in their administrative building, which is super eco-friendly and just gorgeous, like very modern architecture. And so just have a look if you want to get some ideas for your nation's brand, because as important as it is for all of us to have our own individual personal brands, it's also very important that your nation, or if the nation, speaking to the active folks here, that your nation is really strong on communicating its strengths, because that, again, is how you are going to build opportunity and partnerships on behalf of your nation, is to make sure that your nation is also excellent at communicating its partnership abilities and other opportunities that may be available, both at the individual entrepreneurship level for procurement and also at the industry level. So have a look at this Tsleil-Waututh Nation. And if we want to talk about, what is it looking like now for those of us who are a little scared to dip our toe in the water, or maybe both feet in the water at digital? Well, guess what? Baby boomers, Gen Xers, we have no choice, because now 75% of people want to do business, and especially for those of us who are in business, selling to other businesses, 75% of people want to have the ability to serve themselves online and to have remote human engagements. So gone are the days, yes, are we going to eventually go back to in-person meetings on some level, but the majority of it is going to be remote digital engagements. Because why? We can do it quickly. You can jump on a meeting, and business gets done so much faster than if you have to travel across your city, or try and figure out parking when you're going downtown, or whatever it happens to be. So we love the convenience now of being able to do business digitally. So this is for those of you who are like, nah, I'll just wait it out. It's nah, we're not going backwards anytime soon. The digital economy is here to stay, and we have to adapt if we want to not only survive, but thrive. So let's talk about how to create your own personal brand. In a recent employer study, 93% of employers, this is a pretty large number, will make a hiring decision based on what they see in social profiles. So what does this mean? It means, A, you want to make sure that those fun Facebook posts that maybe the last time you were out at a party don't end up in the general internet. Watch those privacy settings. And then B, you want to make sure that you're definitely teaching your children, your teenage or young adult children, that they have to watch their privacy settings as well, because what you don't want is to see this ending up online when an employer or potential partner is looking for your name on Google and something comes up from something on a more personal nature that doesn't quite give the right impression. So you definitely want to make sure that you're putting out stuff that is setting you up as an expert online. And if it is personal that you're putting out there, keep it clean, keep it somewhat polished. So what is your mission, and how do you develop your profile for online? So when people come searching for you on Google, or they look up your nation or your company and they want to see who the people potentially are that they'll be doing business with, what comes up? Step one is, who are you? Figure out exactly what you want people to know about you. What do you care about? What's your mission in regards to your business? What do you care about in life? What kind of people are you attracted to? What kind of people do you want to help? Who do you serve? Okay, what are your strengths? What are your special skills? Step two is make sure you Google yourself and you know what does come up. If nothing comes up, that's not great either. Because nowadays it's kind of like, when you go to a website of a company that you're thinking of using and no website comes up, or worse, the website that does come up is really hard to navigate through or very unattractive. Typically, we'll just most of us will bounce and go to another website that is easier to find the information we're looking for and looks more polished. So Google yourself and see what comes up. Number three is do your research. Look up what your competitors are doing. See what they do really well. Get some ideas from them. See how they position themselves. Look up what's in your industry. What's hot in your industry? What are the trends? What's moving? What can you, as the expert in your field, start to create content on and put it out through the various social media channels that you are comfortable using? And then position yourself. Put together basically a profile of who you are and how you deliver value, and what type of information that you can collect and publish so that people can get an idea of who you are and what it's like to do business with you. So here is a positioning statement that will hopefully help you to fill out these questions, find some, and just explore the answers. And then you can put it together in a nice summary and put it on your LinkedIn profile. For example, who are you? Where are you from? What do you care about? What audience do you serve? What do they need? What are their wants? How are you helping them to either solve a problem, or you're delivering, you're enhancing their life in some way? What is your unique value? What makes you special? What is the proof? Social proof is really important these days. Social proof is, for example, reviews or recommendations on LinkedIn. Make sure you're asking for them, because as consumers, whether we're buying from a business, like business to business, or we're buying a product online through a company, we tend to look at the reviews to see what sort of experience other buyers have had, because then it will reduce any buying risk that we may be approaching. We like to know that we're going to get value when we're going to buy something. So it's important as well, you provide that kind of proof to your potential buyers or people that you could be doing business with in the near future that are looking for your types of products or services. And then what stories can you tell? As human beings, we are hardwired to remember stories. And the great thing about having Indigenous heritage, well, there's many great things, but you're natural storytellers. So really, really embrace that and really think about how you can tell stories that engage other people, make them feel something, and help them to better understand how doing business with you is going to create a lot of value in your life. And as I said, Google yourself. If you were to Google me, you will see I am all over Google, pretty much mostly professionally, thank goodness. Not that my Facebook posts are racy in any way, shape, or form. I'm pretty tame. I like to do cute animal videos and inspirational posts, but still, most of the stuff that shows up about me on Google is all pretty much professional, and that's because I have tailored it that way. And I've been I've been in the marketing profession for 20 years, so I have the advantage of having the knowledge of how to do that. But this is why it's great that you are watching this webinar right now, because the more you can pick up tips and tools and knowledge to be able to enhance your professional profile, it's not that hard. Once you know what to do, it's really actually, especially with all the tools that are available today, it's actually quite simple as soon as you know. So it's just doing the steps and actually taking the action. So here's an example of, oh, I don't know how to say Shannon's last name, but he's the CEO of the National Aboriginal Capital Corporation Association. And you can see, if you look at his LinkedIn profile, he posts not only where he's from and in his summary and what is important to him, but he also posts about all of the various Indigenous economic growth that he's involved with, helping to bring more awareness to that area of the economy. And he does a lot of professional speaking. He does a lot of webinars, and posts things that are important to him on his profile. So if you want to, again, have a good look at the people that are leaders in the Indigenous business and Indigenous economic space to get ideas for what the type of content that you can post and how you can position yourself. Shannon's another really incredible Indigenous professional to look at. The other way to attract an audience online and to build your personal brand is to be authentic. At the end of the day, there are a lot of us now, because, especially in the internet has enabled a lot more people to start and run businesses and companies. So how do you stand out? How do you create your own unique competitive advantage? Well, it's by being you. We are attracted to people who are like us. We want to do business with people who we know, like, and trust. So how you create that is by being authentic in the things that you write, being authentic in the videos that you produce or the webinars. I have a YouTube channel where I started on Indigenous entrepreneurship. So I have the opportunity and the honor to interview Indigenous entrepreneurs that are doing incredible things through their businesses, their small businesses. And so this is a way for me to put myself out there, and trust me, it's not easy because sometimes, when you know that there's going to be a number of people watching you, especially if it's live, that little voice inside our head, creeps in sometimes. It says, oh, am I saying the right thing? Or am I coming across in the right way? But everybody goes through that, just so you know. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. So, and also Toastmasters, if you are a little bit shy and you want to start to just be more comfortable in putting yourself out there, and whether it's through video or writing or whatever it happens to be, just, making yourself more visible publicly, Toastmasters is an amazing way to practice and to learn to really hone in your communication skills and to get more comfortable speaking in front of people. But I can't stress enough how important it is to be authentic when you're out there and building your professional profile, and also reaching out to others through social media. And this is a really great quote by Maya Angelou. I don't know how many of you have heard it before, but people will forget what you said and did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. That is such a powerful quote, and it is so true in any capacity of business, or even when you're meeting people out at whether it's a networking event or some kind of social engagement. We want to be around people who make us feel good. And that tends to be when people are authentic and we can really connect with one another. So the more you're able to remember to be yourself and really to want to understand other people and be curious about other people, the more you're going to make a really great connection with others that is going to lead to, new relationships, new business, new friendships. Just in general, this is such a good rule to remember. Do you agree, Michelle? You're a natural relationship developer. Okay, so let's talk about stepping out in social media. So those, especially for introverts, you know, that the boomers or the Gen Xers that may be a little hesitant about putting yourself out there, because let's face it, we didn't grow up with a smartphone in our hands where it doesn't, it's our second language. It's not generally the first place we go to. So the first thing you need to do is really know yourself and know your people. Know who it is that you want to connect with and communicate with and what interests you. You know, people are going to be attracted to you because they're like-minded. So the more that you can remember, okay, if I'm creating content that I know is important to me and that's going to add value to the people that I want to attract, there's going to be a like-minded connection there. And you're going to start attracting people that are like you that you're going to really enjoy doing business with. So think about who your audience is and what interests them. What are you an expert at? What are you good at? What can you, how can you put together different types of media and different types of content that will allow you to express who you are, what you care about, and it will help other people. And what tools can you use? Like I said, there are a number of tools that are super helpful in making creating content easier or posting content on social easier or understanding what your audience wants to see or hear easier. And we'll actually go through some of the tools tomorrow. And then at the end of the day, don't think about, you know, just throwing it all at social all at once. Do baby steps. Think about one channel that you can get good at, like LinkedIn, for example. You know, just start to make sure you've got a really good profile there, answering a lot of the questions that we talked about today, and ease into it. Dip your toe in the water, you know, see how that works out. And then you'll start to get more comfortable. Maybe take some Toastmaster, do some time at Toastmasters and start to get more comfortable with that. And then you'll see, you'll just advance more into the digital space where it will be less scary and more comfortable for you. And you'll be able to meet other people that are like you and be able to attract business opportunities, you know, that are good for you, good for your nation, good for everybody. So if we give, and we be ourselves, we give, and then we end up attracting and having the kind of relationships and opportunities that we are looking for. I hope this has helped you in navigating the digital space, and I'll now hand it back over to Michelle.
Woohoo! That was really informative. Right off the bat, you know, you had made the comment that, you know, Indigenous people are taking a seat at the economic table. And I think that that's so true. You know, even in this last year, witnessing, you know, the rise of entrepreneurs and people selling their gifts, their crafts, or their services. And so it's been really, really good to witness and to watch. I feel like I have a couple people I need to follow, like Ann Hilton. I'm gonna have to follow her, and then I'm gonna see if she has a room in her next week's webinar. Or
oh, you mean the conference?
Yes, because I think that would be excellent. And then you also mentioned a Shannon, so I'm gonna follow him. And I think part of that journey is just, even though we may not know each other, we can still follow each other. We can still be inspired. We can still learn from each other on this digital platform. So thank you so much for your advice, even have for me to understand, you know, what does it mean? Because I think I was crossing over business to individual branding, but really they're very close together. And so thank you for shining some light on that for me and helping me to understand that. And again, I feel like I need to go back to my LinkedIn profile. Just you've given me some more things to think about and to really plug into that profile as well. So thank you so much. You brought so much goodness today. You are back. It doesn't end here. You are coming back for part 2. So make sure you tune into that presentation. So thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoy your presence, your energy, your knowledge. I feel that I have some takeaways today that will only strengthen, what I'm doing. So I imagine that you are empowering other people as well. So to
Thank
that,
you,
I say hi.
Michelle.
So
Thank you so much.
thank you everyone for joining us, and we hope to see you for part 2. Take care.
Yes, sounds great. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, everybody, for joining and tuning in today. We'll see you hopefully tomorrow.
Peace.
Bye.